Sword of Allah 87. I want to thank you for this video. Some videos you just like watch and forget about them, and some videos you like they just kind of stick in your mind for days. Your last video here, this was one of the ones that kind of stuck in my mind for days, and I figured I better respond to it. I hope you don't mind. Kind of butting in on the conversation here a little bit. You were addressing it to the Ummah, to the faithful, right? I hope you don't mind if a reprobate ex-Christian stumbles in here. Basically, you had an interesting point. You said, okay, it's like, every Muslim death that happens, right? Whose fault is it? And you really wanted to take some of the responsibility for those deaths. And I think that's an interesting concept, and I think it's a worthwhile concept exploring for a while. Because it's, some of the things you said are very true. Okay, one of the things, there's 1 billion Muslims in the world, right? Okay, if they all were in one country, and if they all joined together, I mean, you can't fight a country that has 1 billion people in it, right? There's just no, I mean, it would be a superpower, right? It would be one of the greatest nations the world has ever seen, right? There would be no stopping it, right? So you got to ask yourself, why doesn't it happen? Why aren't all the Muslims together in one country? Why not? Why is there no caliphate, right? Why not resurrect the caliphate? I mean, I thought about that for a long time. Why don't they do that? Why don't they just all get together, and band together? I mean, the only answer that I can come up with is that they just don't want to, right? Point of fact, this has been tried, right? I mean, one of the things I appreciate about Islam is most Muslims do have a very, very deep appreciation of the past, which is sadly lacking in other quarters. But I think the flip side of that is kind of a romanticization of the past a little bit, right? Because in point of fact, I mean, you're addressing this to the Muslims, to the faithful, to the we Muslims. I hate to tell you this, man, but the world doesn't divide up into Muslims and non-Muslims. This is a fictional category. And the evidence for this being a fictional category, I mean, you said so yourself. You're tired of another call to the Muslims to come together and do it. They're not going to come together because there really is no such thing as, and it's not just Muslims, okay? There's no such thing as Christendom either, right? I mean, it's like since the Protestant Catholic divide and then all these other divides that came in, there's no such thing as a Christian nation. There's no such thing as Christianity either. These are all constructions. These are all fictional things. I think your example of you give this example of a old Palestinian couple getting beaten up, and nobody says anything about it, but some asshole cartoonist in Denmark publishes some stupid cartoons, and the whole world goes into histrionics about it, right? I think that's a very interesting case. I mean, basically what it says is, it highlights the fictionality of this whole situation, right? We have a fictional community, the Muslims, who are protesting a fictional affront from a fictional character, right? I mean, it's like everything in that situation is fake. Everything in that situation doesn't really exist. I mean, the world doesn't divide up into Muslims and non-Muslims. The world doesn't divide up into Christians and non-Christians. The world divides up into people who like things the way they are, and the people who don't like things the way they are. And the world divides up into the people who have the power, and it divides up into people who do not have the power. And unfortunately, the first two groups are the same. The people who like things the way they are the people who have the power. And that's why things are the way they are. I mean, we could make this planet anything we wanted to, right? There's really no limitations. I mean, the human imagination is the only limitation on what we could do with this place. And that's no limitation at all, because we can imagine any kind of society. All right, this is the society that the people who are in power want, and this is the society that we're going to get. So I mean, back to your taking responsibility there. I think it's a good I think it's a good saying, but I think you should generalize it. I don't think it should just be we Muslims take responsibility for every Muslim death that happens. I think your sentence would be just as valid if you crossed Muslim out of everywhere. How about we humans take responsibility for every human death that happens? Right? What would be wrong with that? Why wouldn't that sentence just be even better, right? I personally, I feel a tremendous sense of guilt for what happened during the Iraq War. Even though I voted against Bush both times, I you know, it's like, this is democracy, right? I mean, we are responsible for what happens here. We are the ones ultimately who voted these people in, and we are the ones who ultimately have the say, right? If we didn't want it to happen, if we wanted the war to be over, the war would be over. If we wanted things to be different, things would be different. But you know, people like things the way they are. They like driving their SUVs. They like having cheap gas, and that's why they voted for these wars, right? I mean, and until it sinks in to everybody's head that things aren't going to be the way they are, things are going to change. You know, we're going to see a lot of irrational behavior. So anyway, just some thoughts here, man. Just some thoughts. I think it's, you know, it's really great, but I really think it, you know, the thought was the following, right? It's like, you know, humanity is just too fractured. So why don't we just all start believing the same thing? Maybe if we all believe the same religion, or if we all, you know, believe the same, you know, secular ideas, maybe that'll bring us together, right? You know, we tried this. We tried this sort of, Allah. I mean, it's like the caliphate has been tried, and nobody wants to revive it. We tried a Christian society. We tried Christian theocracies, right? Nobody wants to revive those, you know. The future is not going to be like the past. You know, we have to. I mean, it was worthwhile trying, right? These are good ideas. How about we all believe the same religion, and therefore we'll all get along? I mean, that was worth trying, but history's shown it really doesn't work. So I think our only hope now is just to get along, right? We don't have to believe all the same thing to get along, right? We don't have to all have the same religion. We don't all have to believe the same thing. How about we just get along, right? I mean, in point of fact, we're not born with these stupid ideas about nationalism. We're not born with these stupid ideas about, you know, hating other people or dehumanizing other people. This is taught to us, all right? And we can be taught otherwise too. So, at any rate, just some of my thoughts about this whole subject. Thanks again for a very, very interesting video.